ELI 5. How do they know how many people died so soon after a major disaster? In Turkey and Syria now they're saying 1,800 people died already. Is it as simple as counting the bodies and reporting that? They make estimates based on a number of known figures. Like X number of people lived in whatever building. And they estimate downwards. That's why the figures go up throughout the period immediately afterwards. Those figures get revised based on emergency responders, hospitals, etc. It is done in several ways. 1. Counting the bodies as you say. 2. By people saying that this and this person is missing, and then find out if they are found. 3. After some time, where it is guaranteed nobody that is not found would have been able to survive. When a 6-level apartment collapses at night, and probably has 100 people in it, you can't easily count bodies in the wreckage. And looking for survivors takes a lot of effort, so they guess at first and verify as they go. It never will be an exact count. But that really isn't what's important. Finding survivors is where the effort should be, and helping the displaced not starve. They don't know. That's why that number is going to go up every time you check the news in the near future. When you see 1,800 to start, we know that number is going to increase dramatically through the day and week. It was only dozens earlier today, so basically as they keep finding bodies, plus people reporting their loved ones missing, they make estimates. Disaster responses are usually coordinated by a centralized authority incident command system, or ICS. Teams of first responders go out into the field, assist in recovery efforts, and collect information on injured, missing and dead, and on damage to infrastructure. These reports are conveyed to the ICS, which can then determine how to deploy further resources. Part of an ICS's function is to report casualty information to government and media. Edit: I absent-mindedly wrote center instead of system. Number of people living in a building that collapses minus number of people rescued equals number of dead people. In addition, people contacting authorities saying my uncle is missing and I can't contact them and they were in the area at the time, etc. This is then compiled to create an estimate of the number of dead. It is only an estimate, but with modern communications it works quite well. Initially, it is qualified guessing. THW World has a lot of experience with this, unfortunately, but it is hugely inaccurate to begin with. Since you posted, the number has risen from 1,800 to above 11,000. Send any money you can spare to well-reputed internationally operating help agencies, so they can send aid, food and medicine to Turkey and Syria. The numbers are estimates only. From anecdotal reporting, numbers will vary wildly during the rescue and recovery period. I can think of reports of e.g. 100 dead in a disaster in the USA, with the number eventually changed to 80-ish once the numbers have been confirmed, due to double counting or reporting from various sources. In this situation, they don't know how many are dead. The 1,800 number is just what was known when it was published. From looking at pictures of collapsed apartment blocks, it seems likely that many tens of thousands are dead. Whole villages might have been wiped out and can't be reached. We'll never know an exact number. Is it as simple as counting the bodies and reporting that? Yes. They will be counting bodies for months to come. They don't know how many are dead yet, only how many they have already recovered and recorded. Really, the fault is in reporting, misleadingly presenting the figures as if it were an estimation of total. It isn't. You're not dead until someone with a clipboard says, "Yup, this one is dead." So the count so far is only the ones someone officially counted. In a disaster like this, it could be as chaotic as someone walking down the street counting the bodies the rescuers have piled up. This disaster will likely hit a 100,000. It hit early at the Rose. Whole streets of collapsed buildings. Remember that beachfront condo building in Florida that collapsed with over 100 lost? That was just one wing of the building, and I'll bet those apartments weren't as stuffed with families as living quarters in Turkey. I think in a lot of cases it's about estimating how many people were in the area building and subtracting the survivors to get an estimate. Like if a building had 20 apartments with 50 occupants, and if there were only 10 survivors accounted for, you might say there were about 40 casualties. And it would get refined over time as people checked in. Or didn't. They don't. Just a guess. That's why every few minutes it's updated. Normally the first guesses are low and then they add onto it when more factual data comes in. Fact X importance news. You also have to take into account if there is any other news they want out of the news cycle. Natural disasters are also a great opportunity for releasing bad news. At best it's an estimate. The earthquake was 9 hours ago. I'm sure they have better things to do than use resources to count bodies. Start low, then build it up so it stays in the news cycle. 2600 on BBC Now. They don't. The numbers being reported now in Turkey are confirmed deaths. Bodies already found. Over the next weeks the number will grow as they dig and find more corpses. And eventually an exact number will never be known. I was reading today that the number of deaths from the last major earthquake in Turkey is around 20,000. But it is estimated by the number of disappearances that there might have been as many as 100,000 casualties. In the previous earthquake in 1999, Turkish government stopped the death toll at 16,000. On the fourth or fifth day, that became the official number. I worked as a rescue team member. Teams found more and more bodies for the next 2 weeks. These were never added. So, governments such as ours made up a number according to their own agendas. Oh no, what happened? Is really how I find out the news? I mean, you have an entire country where the buildings mostly aren't made to withstand powerful earthquakes. When an entire high-rise building collapses on itself, you can assume almost everyone inside is dead. Statistics based on who are living in an area. Most places take a head count every 5 or 10 years. Using that information, they can easily estimate how many people are affected and how many died quickly. Then the numbers go up and down from there. The UK press initially report a death toll which rises as more information becomes available. Apparently it's because they're not allowed to speculate on the number of deaths. They don't. It's an estimate based on current information. In situations like this it's normally wrong, sometimes by order of magnitude, and will get updated as things clarify. It's an estimate. And it may always be an estimate. The number could easily go up or down over time. We had a big flood here, and at first they were saying there were 50 people dead or missing. When it was all said and done, there were 9 dead. The first hours of the Fukushima earthquake 2011 news were reporting 17 deaths. Because those were the ones they could count from a sports center falling over people there, or something like. They were reporting 17 deaths and the 8.9 or 9.0 Richter earthquake simultaneously, making it obvious nobody in the news center had a fucking clue what they were talking about, as even in a country as prepared as Japan, the death toll of such magnitude would had to be counted by the thousands at least. Count the bodies. They don't know how many people have died, but they can tell you how many they have found. Whence why the numbers keep getting updated. The language used is so far. They report the number of people who are missing and injured alongside the dead, etc.